windy morning here in Lexington, Kentucky. I'm so pleased to be joined by trainer.
Years back, and we stayed here, and Brad Kelly bought it, and he was even more gracious to let me stay on it. So thank God for both of those guys.
How big is this property actually? How many acres?
100 acres.
100 acres. I mean, it's got to be such a wonderful place for these.
It is. It's very, very tranquil. You know, the horses do great. They thrive here. The horses that are in training here in the tobacco barn, the air, the wind moves right through it, and
windy and cold.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the tobacco barn and a little bit better than, say, perhaps being at the barn down the road.
This is it's a special cup, both of those. My grade 1 winners in France have all come within 10 days of the race. They've been right here training. So the horses just thrive when they're here. It's more like a farm environment, so they're very peaceful.
What does a typical day look like for them and for you?
Oh, in the morning, you know, the boys one of these paddocks for a couple hours to where they get some sun and some grass on the nice days. And they just...
I would say than typical California or American training, just the ability to be out in a pasture you don't see as much in the States. The
racetracks, you know, they're fighting with trying to get their horses to eat, and they're putting them on GastroGuards, ulcer medication, which they are. So it's just, I think it's a big advantage.
When did the love and interest in racing internationally begin for you?
Oh, years back, I was looking at the races, and I just thought, you know, early 2-year-olds, that was what I was, you know, kind of coming back east and getting my foot in the door with. And I just was looking for a secondary place to run them after they'd won. And looking at Royal Ascot, you know, sort of a little bit intimidated by it, and just thought one year I'd take a chance. And fortunately, you know, everything came together. You know, everything else from there was just when I was just very, very lucky.
When you reflect on that moment, what do you think? Now having so many Royal Ascot winners, but that first one, I mean, what do you remember about that day?
I was just, you know, I was over. My oldest son, who was then 10 years old, was with me, and you know, we were just taking a big chance. You know, I thought I had a chance, as you always do going into most races, but when you get there and you see the magnitude of it, you think, wow, I think I stepped into the wrong party here.
But it's Strike the Tiger for America that leads the way, blasting clear of Fratellino. Mr. Mananan trying to get on terms as well, entering the final furlong. Little Scotland runs on, so too Di Stefano.
But, you know, we were fortunate and lucky, and then, you know, the success came after that, as far as, you know, people started giving me better horses to try to go over and to accomplish more, and we have. So it's, you know, and more owners and trainers from the States are going over.
Philly, and she absolutely blasts away from them. Lady Aurelia is absolutely home and hosed here, 7 or 8 lengths in front. She's as good as her reputation said she might be, and Wesley Ward is going to have his 7th winner at Royal Ascot, and Frankie Dettori salutes the crowd.
Internationally, do you have your sights set on anywhere else around the world?
I've been around quite a bit. You know, I ran in Japan and Hong Kong, and but I really like going to England. It's not just Royal Ascot. Of course, Royal Ascot is, you know, that's where you want to go and make your mark and keep going. But you know, Deauville in France and winning the Morny and, you know, all the different bigger races over there. It seems like it's a throwback to like the 50s or the 60s. What it races was a real outing, not just, you know, you go and you're, you know, just for a day. Or what European racing, how that it's bred into all those guys in generations, and they know the history, and they know the horses, and they know the horsemen, the jockeys, the trainers, and the owners, and all the major races. It's just the, you know, there's a, you know, we're kind of lacking that here and losing it a little bit. So I don't know how we can get it back, but that's why I like to go over there and be part of it.
Yeah. Well, I think visiting there and bringing it back is all a part of it. You know, I think there's a lot that we could learn from other jurisdictions and other countries, and probably a lot that they could take away from us here in America as well. I'm curious though, so everyone knows that you were a jockey in the training?
You know, early on, the only thing I wanted to do was be a jockey, and started riding in the county fairs when I was a young teenager, and waited till I was 16 to move to New York to ride. And I held on as long as I could until the weight just was insurmountable and I couldn't do it anymore. And I took a few months off, thought about going back to school, and then realized that that's not didn't really assist anybody. Just you know, through trial and error, you learn things, learn them the hard way, and you know, it's every year it's just you learn, keep learning.
When you look back just on your career as a whole, both as a jockey and now as an extremely successful trainer here and internationally, how would you describe what you've accomplished?
It's just it's not a career, you know, it's just a lifestyle. There's, you know, when I wake up in the morning, I can't wait to get to the track. You know, I have no hobbies, and, you know, never golfed, wouldn't want to learn. You know, if I can live every day with work with the horses, I'm the happiest guy. I've got smiles on my face, you know. And, you know, watching my kids grow up now and, you know, seeing the interest that they're going into, I can only hope that they, you know, find something into it. It's something that a passion. You know, I'll be here till far after the sun sets, and if there's a mare foaling tonight in the middle of the night, I'll be here, you know, making sure everything goes well there, and you just can't get enough of it.
It's a true love for you. That's really what this industry is. Mare foal, do we have any babies here?
We've got an American Pharoah. Just born,
okay,
so.
We have to. How old?
He's 2 days old.
So who is the mama?
Searching for a Hero. He had it was a 2-year-old first winner at Gulfstream the other day. And she's going to be running in a 2-year-old race the Thursday before the Derby. That's her sister.
Oh, that's got to be so special for you, though. You know,
fulfilling when you have a mating, you have the mare, you're here when the foals are born, and then watch them raise and grow up and then break them. And a lot of times, except for this year, I'm the first ones on their back. But now, you know, I've got a great crew that's been with me for 20-something years, a lot of the riders. So it's great.
It's not work for you.
Nope.
Not going out. Oh, too cute. I could stay here all day. And the sun's coming out. Beautiful afternoon. No better place, I think, to have horses stay and live yourself. Thank you.
Horse heaven.
This is horse heaven. It truly is. Thank you. The Tobacco Farm, Wesley Ward.